Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson. Book link it like in the show notes and whatnot. And you also may know me as Sebastian's Adams. I almost said that. That Twitter handle, y'all don't follow me there. But yeah, it is a beautiful day because I am blessed with the presence of Tyrell. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me back. So I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad to hear. So y'all, Tyrell just got done with his exams, so we're going to be putting out that good luck energy out there for him.
Thank you. I need
educated. The man's educated, y'all.
I need it. I trust me, I need it. So yeah, I'm just so glad to be here. Just, chill out, have good vibes, have great conversation. So
perfect. Well, today we will be on that topic of no fats, no films, no old people. Discriminatory language that it is. So one of the things that we were going to talk about today, actually, I don't want to go into the original topics first. We have to talk about this YouTube video, which is going to be in the show notes because y'all motherfuckers need to see this shit, and it is phenomenal. I'm so glad that you showed that to me because fam, I don't want to misgender them or however they represent themselves, but fam gave me all of the fucking life in that poem. Yes. How did you find it?
Well, I originally, it was actually something that was shared in a group forum that I attended for it was like not necessarily a coaching, but it was a forum discussing the nature of interracial relationships. The kind of stereotypes and stigmas that are involved. And so to kind of talk about the nature of stigmas, that video was shared. And I think that for the nature of the video, because it hits on so many, kind of stereotype and stigma kind of topics, I was like, oh man, I got to share this, with like other groups and, kind of bring it to this platform as well. Because I believe that the spoken word event that the video is for, and I may be completely wrong about this, I think it was like circa 2016. So it's been out for, maybe like a few, good few years. But that was the first time, I, had come across or had seen it. And yeah, the video is just an entire read and it will give you so much life.
Hey man, I would say one thing, that Fro was motherfucking froing. Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, yes, Fro. But the words, the language, the poetry of it all was just like, it was a lot of truth in that. Like to think about the discrimination that you see so often within queer spaces is ridiculous. And then most definitely when it comes to like, if you place the intersectional identities where white queer spaces are not the same as the queer spaces of people of color, because it's like we're still being oppressed in our own, supposed safe space. And I don't know how many times I've seen no blacks on a profile, and when I will put no white people on my profile because me just wanting to space myself out from that are just being fetishized.
Right.
I will get responses from multiple white men or white people in my inbox saying, how dare you say this, that, and the third. And I'm like, but are you communicating with these your peers of your same racial background who has no blacks in their profile, no fats in their profiles, no femmes in their profiles, but you're here talking to me as though I need to erase or take away this no whites because you just got offended.
Absolutely. And it's very tricky because there is, like you say, there's a difference between how people of color queer spaces work and versus those white spaces for queer people. And I think for all of us, it becomes like this dichotomy, right? Where the social rules and social acceptance about the fact, like, oh, how dare you say this? But then it's kind of like, well, how dare you do this? So it's like, I don't have the right to speak, but yet you have the right to do. So, that whole kind of tug of war. And it's just, and that's why, like, even for like myself and my outlook, why I feel like even if you don't, necessarily like romantically want to, date someone white or date someone black or whatever, like you can just ignore the person or ignore the profile. Like you don't necessarily have to publicize it. Like if there's somebody who comes across a profile that I see or I don't like, and it's like in my back of my mind, I would be like, oh hell no. But but it's like I don't need to put like that out there in the world. The world already has enough stigma and stereotypes and hatred. So it's not even to say like, oh my God, I don't, engage in biases and, things like that, because that's hypocritical. Of course I do. But I'm not necessarily going to put that outwardly and promote that. And you never know, there may come across a profile that, maybe usually I would not give second attention to, but hey, this circumstance may be a little bit different. So, and it's just, you never know. You never know.
I agree. Like, I don't know how many times, like, because like if someone were to message me, I see the humanity in people. So if you message me, I don't mind having a conversation with you. If you do get to that point where you're looking to get into something sexual, and I can see that as a clear direction that you're leading towards, and I'm not interested in you, I don't mind letting you know, I'm sorry, I'm not sexually interested, but we can continue this conversation because it's actually good combo. And I'm here for that. I actually had to tell that to somebody recently, and they understood. They were fine with that, and we kind of went our separate ways or whatever. But it was nothing rude or nothing no ill will between either of us at that moment. But then again, you have those who have issues with rejection too, who might even lash out or whatever. But I just don't get why some people either won't just vocalize I'm not interested, or they won't just. I'm a fan of, if you're not interested in me and you don't want to communicate anything like that, just block me. I don't take that to heart. Exactly. Like you're opening more room for me on this app that I refuse to pay money for.
And then also, as we talk about intentionality, because something that was kind of like, I don't know, like not necessarily odd, but surprising to me was when I attended this forum about the nature of interracial relationships. They had this questionnaire, and it was asking you, all these questions about, would you be, sexually intimate with someone that's white? Would you, date someone, that's white? All these, questions. And, for me, my personal questionnaire, I was putting no, 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 and I was putting no throughout all the questionnaire. But then it got to the question of, would you flirt with someone of a different ethnicity, being white? And I actually had to put yes to that, because I've actually done that in maybe a couple spaces. And so when you think about the nature of intention, it's like, how I view flirting is just that. It's just for fun. It's not anything taken too seriously. It's not to say that, oh my God, like that's going to lead to a date or, to something serious or anything like that. I flirt with certain friends, like flirt, that's just it. Like, it's not that big of a thing. So to me, like in that instance, I don't see flirting and color. I don't equate those, I don't equate those two things together. Like I could almost, it's like not necessarily flirting with anybody, but that's just like the last thing that comes to my mind when I think about flirting. Dating and being a part of a relationship and things like that, yes. But flirting, no. So I think, when we talk about intention, how does certain terms and things like that we define ourselves, how does that manifest and show up? So.
No, I'm with you there, because I think about, like, even with myself in terms of those different categories, those different sections of how a person may express themselves, be it flirting, sexual, or dating. Of course, I've mentioned this multiple times. I'm not great at flirting, so I'm just going to say no to all that because I don't understand that lingo. I guess I do it. It is what it is. But in terms of sexual encounters, I'm open to having sexual encounters with someone of a different race. I'm still on the fence about someone who might be white, but it depends on physical and sexual attraction, as well as do they see me as human or not? And we have to unpack that to understand where we both are before I can actually engage. Because if I just cannot freely go into that space without knowing that. But when it comes to dating and potentially marrying somebody, most definitely with being an intentional person, I need to know who the fuck your family is, because am I getting into a situation like I'm okay with a racist grandma, grandfather, or whatever the case is, because they're here for just a little while longer, and they were raised in this. That's their hatred. But if your mom or dad, your uncles, the people who are going to be here for the next 30, 50 years is racist as fuck, I cannot do that.
Yeah. And then I also think it's too, like, and I'm so glad, we're having this conversation about, the no fats, no femmes and things like that, because a lot of times, even within our own community, as we deal with colorism and, all of those other aspects that plague our communities of Black and brown people, you have to check your privilege at the door. Like, as a Black or brown person, that doesn't mean that you are oppressed in all circumstances. And you need to be aware of situations where you come in, where you have a bit more of a privilege or a systematic advantage in certain places. And for instance, that even goes into physical and body aspects as well. If you are someone that is, and really, I don't see this a whole lot of times, but just to give an example, if you are someone who is, rock hard, you got the abs and the chest and, all of that, you do not need to succumb your ideas about body image to the next person. You stay in your lane and look however it is that you feel the need to look. But then when that comes to play about the fact that you believe that because of the way that you look the way that you do, that it privileges you over another person. And sadly, the nature of how we engage with social media, and especially like being as far as sex work and porn and things like that. So a lot of times that is the message that is given out, that, you being of this color tone, this height, this body type, you are going to have, those million fans or those million followers. And so innately that privileges you. Now, it's not even to say like you need to be ashamed or you need to downplay yourself, but just recognize the spaces that you enter where, you are privileged.
Pretty privileged. There we go. It really is a thing. It really is a thing. It's I think I know there has been research into it, how just your physical appearance, if you're more attractive, you're more likely to get hired for a job than someone who is deemed not the most beautiful, which is ridiculous, because this pretty person might not even have the real qualifications.
Exactly. It's actually a very big debate in the academic world as well. I was actually in a class recently that not this semester, but past semester, and we were talking about the controversy of putting a picture with your resume or your CV or on your academic website and things like that, because we were having the conversation about when someone goes to like your website or, reading about you, your qualifications and your credentials should be the first thing that people know about you, not what you look like. And so, but we also had a little bit of the opposite end as well. I'm saying that, but seeing a face like mine, taking the whether or not you believe I'm attractive or not out of it. Somebody seeing me in a academic space could give them the motivation to either want to do something, in that academic space. So it's really one of those debates where it's like, depending on the space, you got your positives, you got your negatives, and I kind of see, where both sides are coming from. And yeah, it's one of those things like on teacher review sites. I know specifically like Rate My Professor. They have the hot chili peppers for professors that you think are, hot or attractive, and things like that, where you can like score professors just based on the nature of their attractiveness. And it's like, okay, are we here to talk about attraction, or are we here to talk about learning?
Right.
So like, I'm confused here.
Even when you think about that, so if you're rating a professor, you have that hot chili pepper or whatever the case may be, did you learn anything throughout that entire semester? Like, what kind, were you fantasizing having sex with your teacher during that entire semester, or did you actually take heed of what they were teaching you, that you can apply that to other situations or to your next classes that you have in your major, or whatever the case may be? Like, what does that have to do with anything? The Soliloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Soliloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Soliloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation. Are to your next classes that you have in your major, or whatever the case may be. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. And I know, like, for me, like, I tend to find like a little bit of both kind of energies. A lot of times, well, at least I remember sometimes back in college, like, you would take a certain class because of a certain professor that, like, because, we all got crushes and, things like that. But at the end of the day, like, it was always still about the class and about the learning experience. Because trust me, I don't care how attractive a teacher is. I'm not about to spend a whole semester doing work when I could be doing something else just because I think you look good. I can catch you in passing and, turn my little head and do all that kind of stuff without.
Look, like, if you really want to see the professor, you find out which one of your friends has that professors, and you make sure that they go to office hours so you can go to office hours with them.
Exactly. Oh yeah, go to office hours. It doesn't even matter if you're not in that department. Just find an excuse to go and talk to them.
For real.
Like, for real, like, come on.
They don't know how to college anymore. They don't know how to college anymore.
They don't know.
Now, this does not mean go out here have sex with your college professor. That's not what that means. You are looking at the visual.
Graduated.
Huh?
At least not until after you graduated.
Facts.
Because then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, if after you graduated, you're no longer, part of the institution, it's like, yeah, if we still feeling the vibe, it could be on and popping.
Look, chick is messy after graduation. Oh my God.
But that's why I have always been a stickler for college age, because I've been asked the question a lot of times, what do my feelings surrounding professors and students. And the thing is, the lines are so blurry because there is most times in a college policy, there are no outright laws against professor-student relationships because you're dealing with people who are technically the legal consenting age. So there is no legalistic language in a lot of faculty and student handbooks about inappropriate relations with students. However, it will highlight that because professors, no matter the age, no matter the student's age, if you are an instructor, you are innately in a position of power over a student. And so really from a professor end, you have to ask, oh, is my fling with this student or my, whatever it is you're having with the student, is this really a cost to my professional reputation? And I've always been of the attitude, if you and this student or you and this professor have these desires or this burning sensation for each other or whatever it is, and especially for the ones that fall in love for apparently, my thing is like, then why can't it wait till after you graduate? Like, I don't get the prop.
Right.
So it just goes to show, like, most of the time it is just about that sexual that sexual encounter or experience or whatever it is that you want to call it. Because if it is real love, if you develop that, nobody is having no hangups about that. I really don't. But my thing is like, okay, well then it can wait a few years.
Look, and I think that's why a lot of the grad student professor things are a lot messy, because it's like, if you're in a completely different department, then it is what it is. They will never have a ability to grade any of your assignments. But at the same time, if you are within the same department and you have been working with this person on your research, most definitely if you're like a grad student that's also an employee of the institution, so now you fall under both categories, then it's just like,
then that can be.
So
and I think like when you've entered into that state, it's kind of like you're more of a kind of mature adult, because usually like you're in like your 20s and your 30s and things like that. And do you know what the really interesting thing is that I really don't hear too many stories about grad student professor relationships, because I think that at that point you're seen as a little bit more like colleagues in a way. Because and even depending on the institution that you're at, coming from the South, we have that, more respectability thing. So when you're even when you're in a graduate program, you still call your professors by like Dr. So-and-so by their last name. When I first got into my program in Chicago, because the North is a little bit more, obviously a little bit more progressive. And because I was at a creative arts institution, the professors actually honestly wanted us to call them by their first names. We were on a very first name basis with our professors, which I thought was odd, coming from the South, moving, to Chicago. But so yeah, that was something I had to actually get accustomed to doing, because like we just call professors, professor this or doctor this, because like that's just innate, to do. And so yeah, to be on first name basis with a professor, at first it kind of felt like a little like gross. like this makes me cringe, but it was fine.
I get that. Child, that reminded me of like days at Mercer, because it's like after a while, because with the professors and whatnot, you definitely had to call them professor, doctor, or miss, whatever the case may be, whatever their qualifications were. But when it came to the staff side of things, a lot of them were more open towards just being referred to as their first names, and it made that space so much easier for like students like me to communicate with them, because it felt so much more normal to talk to them, because I could just be like, hey, Ricky or Christian or whoever, Nate, whoever was in, because that's literally 3 people who I worked with. I could just call them by their first name. So it seemed a lot more personal. But in the spaces of like my professors, I feel it's just I can't do it to this.
Something that I do have a profound respect for now, because I'm going through it with doing my own doctoral program. I understand now why professors have that kind of rigidness when they are a doctor and they're referred to as something else. And it's like, no, I am Dr. So-and-so. And it's kind of like, sometimes the way they'll come at you, it's like, oh my God, like, why you getting an attitude for, like, calm down, But after like coming through and going through and knowing what people go through to get their doctor, it's like, no, I earned this. Like, you better put some respect on this.
Look, I get that. Like I just don't. I have a problem when people do it in a negative way, but I definitely understand. Like for me, I, I'm like the doctor is silent. You can call me Vernon, you can call me Mr. Scott, you can call me this, but at the end of the day, as long as you know that the doctor is still there, that went through this shit to get this degree. As long as you know that's there, we good.
Exactly, we good.
I'm here to build a relationship and rapport with you, but just know that's still there. It's there.
Like don't get it.
I think, well, I say this would be a good way to segue into the concept of not being claimed in public. This is something, I don't know if the episode is going to come out before this discussion or after this episode, but with another podcast guest, Sharita, we were talking about the not being claimed in public, which we also discussed in our intake meeting for this episode. I see, I've experienced that where a sexual partner who was literally just a sexual partner did not want to claim me in public, and I'm like, fam, we're not together. That's fine. You didn't have to say this, but I know there's other people who've experienced the same thing. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
I can't recall an instance where like somebody hasn't claimed me in public, but I can understand like from, because it's kind of like that both spectrum kind of thing, where it's kind of like, yeah, you don't understand from your end, like, why do you have to make like introducing me like awkward? So it's kind of like, even if you're not sure about what we are, if we're just like hooking up or we're friends or, you know, we're trying to figure out what we are or whatever, just call me by my name, like say this is so and so. Like it really does not have to be that hard. But on the other end, I can see like from another person, if that person is having some kind of emotional confliction about what you are to them, then it can make it so like, oh yeah, I like this, I don't know, like I don't know what to say. But then I kind of go back to the other thing, like I keep bouncing back and forth because I'm like, usually when you're out in public, unless you just run into somebody just by surprise that you don't know, a lot of times, like if you're having a gathering or you know you're going to be meeting up with people, of course you're going to introduce people. So it's like, why did you not think of this? And so now it's this whole awkward moment for no reason at all. Like
I don't know how I would feel in that situation where because first and foremost, I would rather not be invited to any event where you cannot introduce me to people. Most definitely, if I don't know anybody there, now I'm just over here looking like the awkward cow, and I'm just like, somebody gonna milk me or not? Like, what are we doing here? But like, if you bring me around your family, your friends, your community, or what have you, I expect that you're going to at least say, hey, do a broad statement. Hey, this is Vernon. This is one of my friends. We met on Facebook or some shit like that. Thought he can, you know, meet all y'all, whatever the situation is. But if you're not going to acknowledge the fact that I'm here, then why ask me to come?
Exactly. Because it's kind of like one of those things like, hello, you do know I'm saying, like I'm sitting or I'm standing right here, right? Like, so, and it's and like you say, it's really it becomes a nature of making a situation really harder and more awkward than it really needs to be. If you are, and then I think it's also too, because you have to also assess about where like people are in your life, you know, so to somebody who like, hey, maybe you were just having some hookups with, like they may not mind introducing you to like a friend or, you know, something like that. I don't know too many people like that, but I'm sure that, you know, it does exist. So I think, you know, by the time you're getting to meeting like the friends or meeting the family, it's because something is a little bit deeper. And then something deeper doesn't necessarily mean something romantic. It could just be, you know, just like friendship, like, oh, you know, hey, I'm having a family barbecue, or, you know, like we're having family dinner, like we'd love for you to like come, you know, like introduce you to my family or my friends. So by that time, it's like, yeah, we kind of know what we are to each other. And so, like I said, it's really just making something very awkward and almost borderline disrespectful in a way, you know, to not not even necessarily say not introduce, but just create this very awkward tension between you and this person's people that you're trying to get to, that you're being introduced to or trying to get to know, because then now you're uncomfortable with how to operate and how to filter maybe certain questions about, because how family and friends are. They gonna want to know, well, how y'all know each other? When did y'all meet? Or all that type of stuff. So now you're uncomfortable because of how you were introduced.
Right. And that's the other thing. Most definitely, if you haven't had enough conversations with somebody to know exactly where you are in their life in terms of that, like, are you a person who your family knows about your history, your dating history, your sexuality, and all this other stuff, and you're introducing me to them? Do I need to have a backstory here? Like, what if I'm asked a certain question, like how we met each other? What is the expectation of my response? Because I will go into a situation ready to be honest, and I don't know if that's what you want. Like, I would love for us to get to a point where we can literally just like, hey, family, this is Vernon. We ain't together, but I just wanted to, bring them to grab some food because the food's gonna be busting today. I know we got on this fucking grill for Uncle Leonard, and look, we about to eat, we about to enjoy, about to have a good time.
And honestly, the only situation I can think of, I think it happened maybe sometime last year or so, where I was getting to know this friend. I had met him, at a real nice bar here in Atlanta, and I didn't know there would be other people that would. I don't think that it was originally other people would be joining us. I think we just all happened to be at this place at the same time, and because we had only talked online and this was our first time meeting, of course some of his people are kind of curious about me. They wanted to know oh, is this a friend, or you guys out on a date, or whatever. And it's almost kind of not the fact that he was silent about it, because he was a lot like me, whatever is going on, that's private. But I did feel awkward, in this moment where it's I'm trying to get to know you, but then now we have other people that are around, people that I don't know, but of course know. And then we're just even trying to just meet up for the first time to, see, hey, are we, friend, getting to even just a friendship status. It's not even anything romantic, but it is awkward when you don't know, so you don't even know how to filter other people's questions.
Oh, that just sounds like that was just a completely overwhelming situation for both of y'all, because I just look,
and when you get in certain social circles, people gonna probe, they gonna be like, oh, so y'all dating, or and it's kind of even if you're friends and wanted to get to that dating status, it's well, now your people then just put that out there. So it's well, damn, it's I'm on the spot now.
Right. Look, I don't know. I do not
I don't know. I don't know.
This is our first time hanging out, and your ass decided to come along. Who invited you? Who fuck invited you? And now you look is this how you are? Oh my God.
See, and that's why I have this thing about even when you're trying to mix company, it's even for I believe you have different circles of friends for different type of reasons. You have your friends that you turn up with, friends that you stay, and play game night with or whatever. And it's great if you have, versatile friends who can do all of those things. But it's you're not gonna hurt my feelings if there is something going on that you don't really believe I would like, and you're just inviting me to be nice. I don't need you. I appreciate you being nice, but I know myself. At the end of the day, there's just certain things I just am not going to do. I'm not an adventurous person. So if y'all trying to go skydiving or something like that, I will watch safely from the ground. But trust me, I'm not going to be participating. So even if you didn't want to invite me, that's fine. I can't wait to hear all about your skydive adventure when we're safely on the ground, sipping tea or something, or doing something, talking.
You sure you don't want to go skydiving?
Oh no. Oh no. I need to be firmly on the ground.
I feel you there. So one of the things that we discussed was all about embracing body positivity, which is not often happening around us. And when it comes to embracing body positivity, I'm just let that be something for everybody, not just like you know, when Adele lost weight and whatnot, and everybody's like, oh, you're even more beautiful now than you were then. Let's not just compare the now and then. Let's just say you've always been beautiful regardless. Like, you're looking gorgeous. I love it.
And the thing is about body positivity is that what happens with the person who is trying to be more bodily conscious, more body positive, you receive so many mixed messages when you are online, because it's kind of like, if you feel like you are a bigger person and hey, you may have lost a few pounds, regardless of what that reason is, it could be for yourself, it could be for your health or whatever, then you'll have people in your DMs and in your comments about, oh yeah, like you say, oh, you're looking good, you know, this and that. But then you'll have the other side of people that would be like, well, why you decided to do that? Like, you lost, like you look fine just the way you are. So it really becomes this battle when you're, especially when you're posting like pictures online, you know, you're maybe trying to do it for self-love or, you know, to show yourself journey, but you get so many conflicting messages from the people that wanted you to stay just the way you are, and then people who love this, you know, what they feel is new look from you. And so really it's kind of like body positivity becomes about what's trending or what's popular at the time, you know, instead of it being intrinsic in saying that I did this for me, regardless if I, you know, lost 20 pounds or gained 20 pounds for some reason. Like, this is what I did for me, not for, you know, for likes, you know.
I don't think a lot of people even think about, like, even go that far to think about it. Like, just the simple concept that this is a decision I made. I'm posting the picture because I felt good in this moment, and I just wanted to share my good feelings with everybody else. And I'm glad that you think I look beautiful. I'm glad that you enjoy this, I guess, new me. But regardless, this is a post representing who I am. I'm not, like, I really hate that we live in a culture where we constantly try to make people to be role models, and make them be the spokesperson or the image and identity of what other people need to be or aspire to be, rather than just encourage people just to be them.
Exactly. You know, and it's such a shame, because then, like I say, body positivity now becomes, it's more of like a social message rather than something that is just shared, or, you know, something that is just, oh, like, oh my God, I love the way that person, you know, like is looking like they're really embracing, you know, who it is that they are. And for a lot of people who struggle, you know, with body image, and I think that comes from so many of us, you know, regardless of where it stems from, it makes you, when you're trying to be positive, it makes you go back into that shell. When you feel, you know, kind of down in the dumps, then now you look to something for validation, because it's like, oh, you know, if I am, you know, a little bit more heavy set, and, you know, I know that there are certain communities that do not love me for being heavy set, then I can just go to a community that does love, you know, does love heavy set. And again, I think it's always important to, you know, find your tribe, find your communities, but do not conflate finding people who accept this about you to be like, that's what you intrinsically want for yourself, though. You know, it's kind of like, if you feel good around this particular weight or this particular size or what have you, let that be, because that is intrinsically how you feel, you know, how you feel. And it's such a shame for, I will say, self-identifying women who are or even women in general. Of course, we know that there's a big stigma about, you know, the nature of women and body image. But even as, you know, certain medical aspects come up, for instance, for women who may go through IVF treatment, or, you know, who are trying to, you know, or something is going on hormonally, you know, it is to say that, yeah, those factors could be the reason why, oh, this woman has maybe gained some weight, or, you know, they're looking a little bit rounder in the face, or, you know, what have you. And then, you know, our things with our body, they change from season to season, from year to year, from day to day. So it's like, So we just need to stop whatever somebody is putting out there. Let it be received in a kind of positive light that it was meant to, and just leave it at that. It's not the fact that that's your journey. You're not walking in that person's shoes. You're not in that person's life. If you like what it is that they're posting or they're discussing, then let that be that. But it bothers my soul about how you just feel the need to comment on things that are really not your concern or really any of your business.
Ain't it? Like, I'm starting to get even more and more upset about the comment of because I've already been like annoyed by it, but even when I see it a little bit more often these days, when you have someone who's big, who's just embracing themselves, being happy and just feeling fulfilled in a moment and just showing their body, that comment of, you're so brave. So I'm brave because I'm stepping out, knowing that I'm going to get hate. That's the thing that needs to be brave. Or can I just be a person who's like happy? Why does it have to be always about, oh, you're setting a milestone for somebody? Let me just be out here happy with my titties flying and the belly rolls rolling because I'm happy and feel beautiful in this moment. Exactly. There's nothing brave about that. I'm not running into a building to save some kids. I'm not over here protecting the Capitol. I'm not doing any of this shit. I'm not out here teaching young kids, building them up, because teachers are brave. They are brave to have to deal with the parents that they have to deal with. They are very brave people. And you're trying to ascribe that characteristic on me just because I chose to wake up, feel happy about my body and step out in my truth. It always feels like a slight. Like, if you don't do that, you're weak.
Exactly. And just the fact that you feel like, every time you post something or, or showing something, it's like, it doesn't need to open itself up to comment. And of course, there's the other side to that. It's kind of like, well, if you don't want things commented on, why post it? But it is to say, like, if you don't have anything constructive to say, it's like, why are you talking?
Right.
Why are you talking?
Like, even with that, I get that some people do it because they want to be supportive. Just be supportive and just say, I love you. There you go. That's it. Make sure people feel love. I support you, or whatever the case, however you want to phrase it. Support that way. You can keep your comments. You can keep everything else. You can just like, oh, you look beautiful, if that's what you want to say, and just leave it alone.
And the thing is that, and especially I think the thing is that, of course, we do not talk to, self-identifying boys as much about body positivity that, we should, because, and I think the reason why the topic of conversation is always framed in the nature of women is because we know that women, go through obviously a lot when it comes to body image, becoming a woman, being seen as a woman, and being sexualized at very young ages. And so, but it's kind of to say, like, well, if we were talking to our boys and our men about having respect for their bodies as well, as to not put the narrative that, because it's the narrative, the fact that it's classic double stereotype and standards about the fact that if a woman is out here sleeping around or with anything, she's gonna be called everything but a child of God. But it's but if men doing it, oh, it's just expected and it's applauded. Like, no, like, let's stop those narratives, and let's stop teaching boys that at a very young age. It's like, no, you need to have just as much respect for yourself as well. And when we talk about respect, we're not talking about just becoming a hermit or anything like that. It is to safely teach about positive body image. And the more that I think that we do that from both sides, the more kind of healing that can actually happen, and the more respect for each other that can actually happen. Because as much as we talk about women, boys are very sexualized from a very young age. Our boys are, sexually touched. They are exploited. and all of those kind of things. And it does shape the way that you see, the body and your perceptions about the body growing up and how you associate that with intimacy, and those kind of things. So
amen.
just a shame.
That's a word right there. That is a whole word. Well, before we get to the never have I ever, there was also something else that we spoke of is masculine and feminine energy, and just how, because this is mostly after that no films portion of that conversation. But what words do you have to provide in terms of masculine and feminine energy?
I just really believe that masculine and feminine energy is just about that. It's about an energy. It's about an energy that you exude, and that doesn't necessarily always have to be in a physical sense. You can have a very, if you are a self-identifying man, you can very much have a association, obviously, with feminine energy. If you are a good listener, if you are an empathetic individual, all of those, if you are a nurturer, that's something that, kind of is a plague on the nature of Black men in education. The reason, one of the reasons why Black men are sometimes pigeonholed in education, especially in secondary education, is that we're not seen as nurturers. And especially, and that's sometimes what makes it hard. And I've had conversations with other Black male educators, friends, about the fact that they have to watch how they, present themselves or how they go about things, because when you're dealing with children, you're already, one, a Black man, and two, your physical embodiment can, be perceived as threatening. And what's so great about these kind of conversations is that we're here to let, administrators, school leaders, and things like that know that we're essential to the upbringing of children. Men are essential to being, nurturers. And I kind of agree with us, and not kind of, I do agree with conversations that are being had about the fact we also need to stop applauding men or being in awe of men, of taking care of their responsibilities, of doing what they're supposed to do, going to their children's teacher conference, showing up for their child. It's kind of like we just have this attitude when men do it. It's like, oh my God, oh, you showed up, you did this, you're supposed to do that. It's your child. You don't need to be being, of course, all parents need recognition for things that they do, but you don't need to be like saying like, oh my God, it's something, alien, or like something that should just be overly celebrated and done. It's your child. You need to show up. But sorry, back to
I agree with that 100%.
But definitely the nature of energy is really just about how you present yourself in that moment. You can have moments where, you need to be, aggression is usually associated with masculine energy. There are going to be moments, men, women, however you identify, there are going to be moments where you're going to need to take control, where you're going to need to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive. And honestly, it's why I hear a lot of times reasons why women have particular problems in the workspace, especially if they work in a male-dominated field. It's to say, like, they, a lot of times women feel that, oh, if I feel the need to be assertive and to kind of take control, I'm gonna be, looked at as, like I say, everything but a child of God. But if I don't speak up, then I'm looking weak, or I'm looking, or meek or weak, or however you want to associate it. So it's kind of like when you're in given spaces, the trick becomes about how do you make yourself be seen and be heard and respected at the same time. So I just really think the nature of masculine and feminine energy always boils down to how you act, how you innately feel in the moment. And that moment is it's a moment. It ebbs and it flows. And it's not to say, I think we all have aspects of masculine and feminine energy. So it's not to say that, oh, you self-identify as a man, so you just need to have masculine energy. Like, no, that's not how that works.
Nope, you need to have both. Like that's what I love about the concept of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, is because it's telling you or stating that it is innate in every single individual that you have either side. Like, well, you have both sides. You can express yourself in a feminine way, care and love, nurture, and grow. You can carry yourself in a masculine way, be logical, assertive, aggressive, or whatever the case may be on that spectrum. It's like we all have those capabilities. It's just tapping into that whenever you need to tap into it. Other than that, also knowing a way to balance that all. That's the greatest thing about the understanding the divine masculine feminine is understanding the balance that comes with both sides of that.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't take that time to even figure out how they can express their masculine, express their feminine. Like you said, men should not be getting applauded for doing the what they're supposed to do as parents. And I think a lot of that happens because of the narrative that has been constructed of men not being available to their, like, I know so many people who have their fathers in their lives that I just don't understand why this has ever been a issue. I get that there's been most definitely, within the Black community, mass incarceration has made a huge impact there. You do have this part is not isolated towards the Black community, but you have a lot of father figures or fathers who have been stepping out on their families and have whole other families and whatnot. Some of them who are involved in both sides of those families very actively, and then you have those who are like deadbeats. But that's not to negate the fact that there is still an overwhelming majority of fathers in their child's lives, overwhelming majority of mothers involved in their child's lives.
And I think the reason for that is that we automatically associate if a father is not in the home, then they must be absent or, something along those lines. And a lot of times it is to say, like, I know for like growing up, a good majority of, people that I surrounded myself with, like, no, we didn't have fathers in the home. We knew our fathers, of course. And, a lot of people have very different, kinds of relationships, but, with their fathers. But it is not to say just because a parent, regardless if it's father or mother, just because they may not be in the home does not mean they are not a part of that child's life.
Right. And that's because, you can look at the statistics and all of that about single parents. And when I say parents, that's inclusive of male, man, female, trans, or whatever their gender identity is. But a parent, regardless of within the spectrum of it all, when you look at the statistics and you see that there's like a large number of single parents, you have to realize that single does not mean that they are not in a couple. That just means when you do your taxes, file your taxes, you must place single. Yeah, that's all those statistics mean. That does not mean both parents are not involved in the child's life. And that's a concept that a lot of people either didn't know, didn't want to dive into, or it's just it just helps with the misinformation that is passed when it comes to like the family structure and whatnot. Whew, Jesus, fix it all. I would say this would be a great transition into Never Have I Ever. So, never have I ever watched a porn video together with a lover.
I have.
Ooh, how was that?
It was good. It was all right. It was turn on erotic, of course. And it was nice.
I would say I have too. I do have this one fantasy. I haven't done it yet. Is to play out the porn while it's happening. To be engaged in it that way, where we're just like, I'm feeling this. Let's do what they're doing on the screen. Let's react everything that's going on.
Reenact,
So that's one of my little fantasies there. But I've been in casual encounters before where some people enjoy watching porn while they're in the act. And if you have this, anybody who has not thought about this, I guess this would be a nice tip for you. If you have a TV that has Bluetooth or you can like screencast on your television, you can put your porn on your TV. Just if you have a partner or you yourself enjoy watching porn that way, just do that. That's an easy way. You don't have to worry about purchasing anything. Also, bookmark your favorite Twitter porn, because so many of us have Twitter porn. I know if you were saying, "Oh, I don't have a favorite porn on Twitter," you know that porn exists on Twitter. Go ahead, save it.
And if you don't, you might as well just follow. This is one of those times where you should just follow the crowd. Like,
follow the crowd. Look, find
follow the
something
crowd.
new. Find something new on that Twitter thread, child.
Find something.
That Twitter porn, child. I love it.
Oh, it gives you so much life. It does.
Oh, that's actually a part of the conversation for our next episode in Sex Work. So, plug moment. Would you like would you rather question or a sex question?
Oh, I'm up for anything. It really doesn't matter.
I was going to give you the opportunity to choose.
Okay. We can do a would you rather.
Okay, because I definitely was going to pull out the sex question if you say. All right. So
we can do either.
No.
How about we do both?
Would you rather? No, we could do both. Shut
we could
up. Leave me alone. All right. So, would you rather go to work or school completely? Oh wait, we already did that one. We did that one in your last episode. Why is this not marked off? I'm slacking. Would you rather be a terrible kisser or be awful at oral sex?
Ooh, I would say be awful at oral sex because I like kissing. Kissing for me, I love to kiss.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of like the most like intimate things that can happen. And because of the fact like I do identify more as a side guy, so I don't need the nature of, like penetration or, other sexual acts to be sexually satisfied. Kissing and, like that intimacy, like I would need to, I would sacrifice like being bad at oral because I'm like, it's like there are just other things I can, like there are other things I can do. But kissing, I need a good kiss.
See, I would say for me, it depends on where I'm at in life. Because if it was past Vernon, it probably would have be bad at kissing. Because I was a more oral person back then, and I used to have a thing about getting to a point. I used to test myself during sex and stuff like that to get a certain response out of people. And I always got it. And that was a sense of pride for me. And now that I'm a lot less of an oral person, I will have to say I'll be okay with letting that go. Because
and sometimes depending on what you're dealing with, like it could be a task.
Right, that too. Because I'm like, I'm more like kissing. I don't kiss too much, but there is a good passion in kissing that I do enjoy a lot more than oral. But with oral, this is tough because I'm thinking because vaginal play is fun, and and I'm like, do I want to lose that just to kiss somebody?
You see, I'm thinking of it in the opposite aspect of the reason why I would want to kiss is because in those moments where I may not feel like, having, full intercourse or, or something, like that, where oral is usually a part of that. I'm thinking like, some nice, sweet kisses, like if I'm tired or, things like that, like that would be enough. Like that would be enough for me in certain circumstances.
I want to just be like, can I just let the jury decide? But I'm going to have to say I'd rather be a terrible kisser. I'd rather be a terrible kisser. Now, if it was like strictly dickly situations, then I would rather just be a kisser. Let me be the best kisser out here because ain't no way I'm sucking dick every fucking day. Ain't no way. I cannot. I cannot.
I can't.
I don't got the time for that. Fuck that. But outside of that,
but that's why. But this is another reason, though, for y'all to get involved with your Twitter porn because they do have yours that be having 3, 6, and the number goes up like daily. Like
these
get it in.
motherfuckers be
Y'all
I don't be knowing how they be sucking so much dick. I'm just like, do your jaws not hurt? Like, do you like have a surgery or something? Do you have a button on the side of your face that you press that just says, okay, my jaw no longer functions? Like, I can't. But more power to y'all who could do that.
Yeah, that's what I say. More, you know, the thing is, the things that I cannot do, I praise other people who can, because it's like somebody that got to do it. So if you in that number, more power to you.
Look, if you need somebody to be in your content, it will definitely be my partner, because it's not I.
Not I.
So here's the sex question.
Okay.
Do tattoos, piercings, or other body modifications turn you on? Why or why not?
It's a bit of both. It can be a turn on and a turn off. Just because if you have like a a tattoo here, tattoo there, whatever, if you have a piercing here, piercing there, whatever, I personally am turned off by people who have like so many piercings that you don't know what they look like. And same with body tattoos. Like I can't visualize, that person like being just their whole body is just covered in tattoos, because my immediate instinct, just like not necessarily even body I'm intimate with, but my immediate thing is like just picturing if we were together long haul or a long term, or something like that. No matter how many cosmetic surgeries you may be able to have, the body as it ages naturally wrinkles. So while you're young, while you're youthful looking and, you got the body and, the tats, they glistening, every time you go to work out, yeah, all that is fine. When you get to a certain age and your body starts to naturally wrinkle, all that body tattoos that you have on you is going to look so unappealing to me.
But look, at least you're honest about it.
I can't, and it's just something I couldn't deal with. And even for, because they have a lot of, older people who, they stay, pumped up, work out, do in great shape and all this, but it's just the nature of when you naturally age, your skin is going to naturally wrinkle. So that means that the way that those tattoos look on your body is not for me. It's just not for me.
I get that. I would say for me, tattoos are all right. I'm kind of on your end where excessive tattoos, whatever that may look like for myself, because even I don't have a definite number of how many tattoos that would be for me. It might be a turn off. But then again, if it's a very artistic tattoo, I might be like, oh my God, that looks like I saw a tattoo of someone's, I think it was their leg last night. It was an anime tattoo of the character Hitsuga. I think that's how you pronounce it. I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen Hunter x Hunter. But I was like, oh my God, that is fine. That is sexy as fuck. Oh my God, I love it. But I will say, piercings don't really turn me on, even though metal kind of attracts me. But it's the non-pierced metal. Like some necklaces, like a body chain, is sexy as fuck. Glasses turn me on. Braces, oh my god, braces are so fucking sexy. And that comes from like childhood stuff, and I've always been like,
get you somebody with some braces. Like,
look,
get you somebody with some braces.
I fucks with it. But yeah, that turns me on for some weird reason. I don't know why, but throughout my life, body chains and braces and glasses has always been sexy as fuck, and I love it. So yeah, tattoos is up in the air on that one. So Tyrell, is at that point now. Do you have any lasting words, tips, or tricks that you would like to share with the audience?
No, just thanks everybody for tuning in as always. And like I say, it's kind of like our walk away message of everything we talked about today. It's just like, get yourself somebody with some braces and get yourself some Twitter porn followers. Like,
amen.
You do those two things, you're gonna be good.
Amen to that.
It's gonna be good.
On that note, thank you all so much for tuning in to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful. You are worthy of happiness and joy. You are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that being said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.soliloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.